let's start solving equations. We're going to start real basic here. We're going to do some one-step equations using addition and subtraction. I'm just going to break this down into two different parts. This goes with 8.EE.7, expressions and equations 7 for 8th grade, which solve linear equations in one variable. Okay, so let's take a look at an example with context. Let's say I look at my wallet and I find $23 in there, okay? And I know that yesterday that I spent $12 on groceries. So I want to know how much did I start with yesterday before I started with that. So let's first say, let's see, I think let's write this as a math sentence, okay? So that's what I want to do. I'm going to take this, and instead of writing this whole thing in, you know, it's like kind of like 1, 2, 3 sentences up there. Let's write it in math, okay? So I know how much I have now, but I don't know how much I had yesterday. So we're going to call that X, okay? So let's go ahead and we're going to rewrite this sentence, and then the amount that I have yesterday we'll write as X. So I look at my wallet, I find $23, okay? Yesterday I spent $12 on groceries. How much did I start with yesterday? Okay, so this is a an addition problem, right? So where I know that, let's see, today I have some amount, and that's going to be equal to some amount I had yesterday, right? Start amount yesterday. And then what happened? I spent $12. So what does that mean? I spent money on groceries. So if I start with some amount, then I'm going to subtract my amount on groceries. So my amount on groceries. Okay, so now what I can do is I can rewrite this using my numbers up here. Okay, this will turn into a math sense. So today, how much money do I have today? Today I have $23. Okay, and that's going to be equal to the starting amount yesterday, which is, I don't know, we're going to call that X, minus the amount I spent on groceries, so minus 12. Okay. Well, if I spent $12 in groceries yesterday and I have $23 now, then it's safe to assume that before I did that, I would have had $12 more, right? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say, okay, this is the amount I had before I spent it on groceries. Then I subtracted 12, right? I went down 12. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pretend to give myself back this $12, right? So I'm going to add $12 to both sides of this equation. So whatever I do to one side, I do to the other. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add these together, right? Well, so if I subtracted 12 and now I add 12, that's going to give me X, okay? The amount I had yesterday. And on this side, what I'm doing is I'm saying, okay, this is what I have right now. Well, let's pretend that I didn't actually spend the amount on groceries. So I'm going to imaginarily give myself that $12 back, which is going to be 35. So $35 is equal to X. And what is X? X is how much I had yesterday, okay? So I know that $35 is equal to the amount of money that I had yesterday. And let's plug that back in. So let's see, if I had $35 and then I spent $12 on groceries, that would mean I have $23 now. That all makes sense. Okay. Now I want to show you real quick another way that you can write this and solve this. So let's say today I have 23, and that's going to be equal to X minus 12. Okay, so this method, what I did right here, this is called the, or the one I just did, that's the vertical, right, because I'm going down. Sometimes people get confused with that, so another way I can do is this. Okay, so I'm going to say X minus 12. Well, I don't want to do X minus, I want X by itself, so instead of doing X minus 12, I'm going to then go add 12, okay, because net minus 12 and plus 12 together, this makes 0, right? And that's what I'm looking to do. Well, this is the extra piece that I did, so I'm going to do 23 plus 12. And if you notice, these, right, these two, they match, okay? And so that's what's happening. I'm doing the same thing to both sides, okay? And then once I actually do that thing to both sides, okay, then I'm going to end up with 23 and 12 is 35. X minus 12 plus 12 is just X, okay? And I end up with the same answer. All right, let's move on. Let's try another one here. I have X plus 9 is equal to negative 3, okay? So I'm going to look at this, I'm going to say, all right, well, what am I doing? First, I have some number X, I don't know what it is. Then I'm going to add 9, and it gets me to negative 3. Well, how do I go back? I'm going to do the opposite of this adding 9. So I'm going to say add a negative 9, or I can say subtract 9, okay, and I draw this thing down the middle. A lot of times people draw this thing down the middle to sort of keep themselves balanced, right? So if I do negative 9 on this side, I want to make sure to do negative 9 on that side, okay? Now I'm going to add them together, and x plus 9, this positive 9 and negative 9 cancel each other out. I'm left with x. Negative 3 and negative 9 together make negative 12. So I know that x is equal to negative 12. I'm going to re-show you again how to do this with that vertical or the horizontal method, right? So x plus 9 is equal to negative 3. So then what I'm going to do is, okay, if I have plus 9, I want this plus 9 to go away. So I'm going to do x plus 9, and then minus 9 is equal to negative 3 minus 9. And again, this and this that's the new piece, right? The new thing I'm adding or putting into this equation. So I have to make sure to do it both sides. X plus 9 and then minus 9, that's x. Negative 3 minus 9 is negative 12. Okay? And I get the same answer. All right? Now, you don't necessarily have, I want you to pick one of these two methods, whichever one makes the most sense to you. I've taught this one in the past a lot. I think I taught it to you guys last year as well. I'm going to continue to show this way, but if you like this method, okay, it's really you're doing the same thing, but instead of doing this step underneath, you do it along inside of here. Okay, so you can do whichever one you want, but I'm gonna move forward using this one. All right. Let's see, I had something kind of hidden under here, I thought. Let's see. Oh, there we go. There's another question. So let's try this one, all right? So we've got y minus 11. Okay, it's equal to 23. So what am I doing to both sides? Or what am I doing to y? I have y. I'm subtracting 11. It gets me to 23. So what's the opposite? Right? I want to go backwards. So I'm going to go add 11 to both sides. Okay, it's the thing. What am I doing to y? So I have y, and then I subtracted 11, and it got me to 23, so I want to go back. So instead of subtracting 11, I'm going to add 11. Okay, I did it to both sides. So y minus 11, and then negative 11 and positive 11, that makes 0, so I'm left with y is equal to 23 plus 11 is 34. And let's check it. So let's put our answer in. So instead of y, right, I have 34 minus 11. Does that equal 23? Well, 34 minus 11, 34 minus 10 is 24. 4 minus 1, 24, 23. So 23 is equal to 23. That works, okay? So my solution is correct. And you can always do that. You can always take your answer and plug it back in. It's one of the great things about equations. Plug it back in, and you'll know if you get it right or not. Okay, why don't you go ahead, pause the video, and you try doing this one. All right, hopefully I had a good chance to work it out. Here's the solution that I came up with. Okay, I have x plus 8, so I'm going to subtract 8 from both sides. Okay, or you can say, actually what I should say is add a negative 8. I don't really like subtracting, so I try to do the same thing to both sides, adding, right? So if it's plus 8, I'm going to add a negative 8. Those cancel out. X is equal to 11. Okay, check my solution. So x, instead of x, I'm going to put an 11. 11 plus 8, does it equal 19? It works. My answer is correct. Okay. Go ahead, you try this one. So negative 7 is equal to y plus 13. Go ahead, pause the video, and you try it. Okay, in this case, I have y. I'm adding 13, so I'm going to rewrite my equation is equal to y plus 13. Now, sometimes I know some of you guys don't like having the variable on the right side, so I can rewrite this. I'm just going to take the whole part of this, right, the whole part of this side, and I'm going to just put it on the other side. So I'm going to write y plus 13 is equal to negative 7. Notice nothing changed. I just moved the other, right? This math sentence, I just put it on the other side, which I can do because they're saying they're equal to each other. So now what I'm going to do is I have a positive 13. I'm going to add a negative 13. Okay, I'm going to do it to both sides of the equation. Add a negative 13, add them together, and I get y is equal to negative 20. Okay, let's plug it in. We're going to write down the original equation, and instead of y, I'm going to put in negative 20. So negative 20 plus 13. Let's see, does that equal negative 7? Well, negative 20, that's down 20, right? So if I'm at negative 20 and then I go up 13, that puts me at negative 7. So it works. All right, why don't you go ahead and pause the video. You try this one. Okay. Hopefully you had a chance. You saw n is equal, or n minus 4 is equal to negative 11. So n minus 4 is equal to negative 11. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to, instead of this is going down 4. I'm going to go up 4 on both sides. I'm going to end up with n is equal to, well, negative 11, and then up 4 from there is going to get me to negative 7. So n is equal to negative 7. Let's check it. So negative 7 minus 4, does that equal negative 11? Well, if I'm at negative 7 and I go down 4, that does put me at negative 11. And it checks out. Okay. All right, last one. Go ahead and do this one. All right. I've got 26 is equal to p minus 61. Now notice what I want you to follow here is I have I'm going to leave it on this side, okay? I'm going to leave the variable on this side this time. So, okay, I've got p. I'm subtracting 61, so I want to add 61. If I do that to the right side, I need to make sure that I do that to the left side, okay? So I'm going to be left with p is equal to, and then I'm going to add these. So 6 and 1 is 7, 2 and 6 is 8. So 87 is equal to p. Okay, and then let's plug it in. If I do 87, well, let's do 26 is equal to 87 minus 61. If I subtract that, it works. Okay, all right. Hopefully this made some pretty good sense to you. We will practice more of this in class tomorrow.